morning, everyone. It is Zena Krogadal with American Dream Makers. So glad you could join us today. I have an incredible guest joining us this morning, and she is absolutely rocking this world with some amazing things happening going on in her life, in her community, all sorts of things. But first, before we get to our special guest, Terry, I want to let you know that if you are watching this live or even on the replay, if you could go ahead and share this out so that Terry's message can get out. It's an amazing message. So you definitely want to get this shared out. And also, we are using StreamYard. So if you can go to streamyard.com/. Facebook and give StreamYard permission. That way we can see your comments as they pop up. And of course, if you are on here, we would love to hear from you. So don't be shy. Let us know you're here. And also ask any questions that you would like. So our guest today, Terry, she is doing some just awesome things. She's got Awaken Your Lioness .com, and it is a nonprofit ministry that is helping break generational curses among women who have really had some struggles. So without further ado, I want to bring on Miss Terry. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Good morning, Zena. I'm so happy to be here. How are you doing?
I am so happy that you are here. I'm doing really well. I woke up to a blanket of snow, and I don't know what it is about snow, but it makes my heart happy when I see it. So I'm having an extra blessed day. Terry, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it deAragon?
deAragon. Yes.
deAragon. Wonderful. Yep. Well, Terry, tell us a little bit about yourself and where in the United States do you live?
So I am in Westminster, Colorado, just outside of Denver. And I have been a native here lived here all my life in the same neighborhood. And a little bit about me is, I've been a registered nurse for almost 17 years. So I have a really big passion for serving others. And in 2019, I actually had a really difficult time in my own life. I was facing a separation and a divorce. And it really helped me go deeper within myself through that pain. And through that pain, I kind of poured myself into our local church here and got connected with a prison ministry called God Behind Bars. And in that ministry, I really found a passion for serving women who are also overcoming childhood traumas and traumas of in various ways. And so this, really was the birth of Awaken Your Lioness Spirit. And our mission is to really restore hope, dignity, integrity to imprisoned women.
Wow, that's amazing, Terry, that you turned a challenge and I have been through a divorce myself, and I can tell you that is a very painful process. But I am so glad to hear that you turned your pain into something that really has been able to help others overcome the things. And so tell us, I guess, walk us back to that just a little bit. And I know that 2019 was, right before 2020, which the whole world kind of got shook up. So that must have been a very challenging time for you. And you also have children as well, correct, Terry?
Yes. I have 4 boys.
4 boys. So you found yourself becoming a single mom, and yet you dove into serving others. So give us a little bit of what was going on at that time. Just a little bit more detail of that.
Okay, so it kind of goes a little bit further back. When I was actually in my 20s, I had a experience where I was got a DUI and spent one night in the local jail, and it was really scary for me. And it was really the catalyst to many years of recovery that I didn't realize was happening. But in that moment, I just knew that the trajectory of my life must change. And fast forward many years later to 2019, I just realized there were so many things about me that were not, I wasn't fulfilled, but I didn't really understand what was going on. And, you know, I think of trauma, and when you mentioned 2020, you know, I think trauma, people don't realize what trauma is. And it can be as simple as an event like 2020. 2020 was traumatic for the whole world, and things changed, and our lives were uplifted, and a lot of things had to shift. And I think when people think of trauma with women, they assume that it's always something horrific that has happened. And it's not. It can be as simple as a divorce that has led a woman to question her voice and question who she is, question her identity, cause a lot of confusion that creates them to make some decisions in their life that were not beneficial. And that happened to me when I had my DUI. There were things about me I didn't understand about myself. And being able to go into the prison and see these women, I really walked into that prison at a desperate state in my life and just wanting more. My faith had a big impact on my whole journey. It always has. But when I walked into that prison, I was staring at women I was looking in the mirror of myself. And a lot of it was environments and maybe ways of thinking that we shared together, and divorce and being in unhealthy relationships. Because my marriage was not the first. There was an abusive relationship before that had kind of set up a lot of these patterns that go on into other relationships, right? So I began to recognize that and poured myself into really just growing myself and figuring out, how did I play a part in some of these things that were happening in my life? Because that was it, taking radical accountability for my actions and for the part that I played. And then not trying to do anything outside of myself or trying to fix anyone or anything. It was really going to work on Terry, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what is it? What are some things about myself that I can change to create some different experiences and therefore change the generations that follow? Which, as mentioned, I have four adult boys and now five beautiful grandchildren. So, and 3 of them are granddaughters. So I really want women to get back to who they were created to be, really embrace and embody the essence of who they are, and create that change in their life. And I just truly believe in my own life, I'm a living, breathing experience of it, but you can have happiness and you can have it all. Just like you say here, American dream makers, you can have it all despite things that have happened in our past. The past is the past, and there's a future before us. And I truly believe that in some of the most painful seasons of our lives, that we find the most purposeful reasons for our life. And it's just really digging deep and doing the work and believing in faith that everything is working out for our good.
Wow, that's beautiful, Terry. That is such an amazing thing, that when you found yourself going to jail yourself and spending some time there, and I'm sure that was a lot of self-reflection of, how did I get myself here, is what it sounds like you were saying. And then to take that self-reflection and move forward. Would you say that your inspiration to get it together at this point were your children, or what would you say was that pressing moment that said, I've got to get my life together?
It was my children. I remember it was in 1996. And I remember, and thank God that it was just a night in jail, but that was enough to scare me, to say, I've got to do something different. I'm not headed down the right path. And to be honest with you, back in 96, if I would have gotten the DUI today, it probably would be some time in jail, because they're a lot stricter on those things. So I don't think that I always just feel like it's a way that God's reminded me of what he kept me from by serving these women, you know? But yes, it was my children. I remember being so heartbroken because it involved a car accident and I lost my car. And I remember that year having to walk my kids to the bus stop and stand in the cold for them and that with them. And that was horrific for me, that something that I chose to do now had an impact on my children. And I didn't know that coming to 2019, it was still going to be that. Like all these years, it was always my children of, having that experience with spending a night in jail and getting the DUI, but then deciding to really shift my life and go back to college and get my nursing degree and really just change the whole trajectory of my family. And so, yes, I would say that experience alone had such a profound impact on the direction in which my life turned.
Wow, that's awesome. And then you had mentioned that you got very involved in your local church after your divorce. Now, were you a churchgoer prior to that, and there was a period that you weren't? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've always, my parents, my grandparents always set the example of being a believer. Not always consistent, but I always knew where to go. When times were tough, I always knew where to turn. So no, it was actually 4 years before our separation and divorce that we started attending a local church here, Red Rocks Church. And it was just this profound moment in 2015 that I had in my living room. And it was at a time of desperation where I was just seeking change. The pain was getting so unbearable that I was ready to do whatever it was going to take to change myself. And I didn't know what that looked like. And I had just a profound moment in my living room. And I call it the Holy Spirit moment, but it changed my life. And looking back since that day, my life has never been the same. And together we were going to church together, but I just felt like I continued to just really change and want something different. And I just feel like when you have those moments of transformation, not everybody comes along, and I think it's okay. I just think that we're all on a journey and on a path in our life, and some people are here to stay forever, and some people are not. Some people are not called to continue doing life with you, and I had to really grasp that, and I had to really get understanding on what was happening in that season of my life, because it was very confusing. But had I not stand firmly on my faith, I don't know that I would have gotten through it. In fact, I probably would not have.
Well, that just really is a testament to the power of a grandma that prays very consistently for her grandchildren, that there's no getting away from it. So thank God for your grandmother who was strong in her faith and didn't give up on you, and that you turned things around and really listened to the voice of God. And then you found yourself in church and you got signed up for the prison ministry. Now, was that something that you said, oh, there's a prison ministry, I want to sign up? Or how did you end up in the prison ministry?
So it was so profound. Like it was, and looking back in hindsight, I just see God's hand in all of it. It was in 2019 that I actually started going to Recover. It's a ministry through our church. And another thing I say about recovery, most people think, oh, it's substance abuse, it's this kind of thing. And, actually, it's like 2 to 5% that it's substance abuse, and most of it is life issues and not being able to navigate relationships healthy. And substance abuse can be a symptom of all these other things. So I got involved in recovery, relational recovery, and I started to really define some of the reasons of choices that I made. So it started there. I really felt a calling to go start there. And then in about the later part of 2019, they did a service where they went into the prison and they showed the live service. And I just immediately felt a calling to serve there. So by October of 2019, I had signed up to serve at God Behind Bars. And this was, mind you, 1 month after my separation. So 1 month after my separation, I was serving in that prison. And it was, I just remember the moment being in that prison and spending time with these women and really hearing this deep cry from a place of fear in them. And it was, what am I going to do when I leave here? And I don't want to go back to bad relationships and environments that got me here. And how am I going to support myself? And, housing was this really scary cry. And recidivism rates here in Colorado are at a tremendous high. So I really felt, I just kind of stood there and said, okay, God, what can we do together to help these women? And it was by February of 2020 that it was very clear that it was housing, and it was help these women with some affordable transitional housing. And it was a scary call. I didn't know how this was going to look, but I immediately said yes. And I said, I don't need to know everything. I know you're going to direct my path, but yes, I say yes. So that is really how Awaken Your Lioness Spirit was birthed.
That's incredible. Incredible, for sure, taking that leap of faith. So tell us that process then. So now that you said yes, how did you go about fulfilling that mission?
Oh man. I always say, if we are told what the journey is going to look like, we would probably not say yes. So it's been, it's allowed me to continue in my own personal growth, to continue to just step out and do scary things, because it was a very scary goal for me. I didn't know anything about starting a nonprofit or what that even looked like. So I reached out to some friends that connected me with people that could get the ball rolling, and we could get this going. And so now, fast forward to now, I've been able to really get involved in some halfway houses here back home. And I'm passionate about not just serving them with housing, but really helping them with their mindset. Because mindset is what really, when I understood that some of the experiences that were happening in my life, I was actually recreating. And I didn't understand the way that my thinking played a part in it. So as a nurse coach as well, I also donate my time to these women coming out. And right now getting ready to launch a course into a Project Elevate, which is a halfway house here in Colorado, and really be able to take them through things that I learned about my mind. And then not only that, recovery is a big part of our program. It is a 12-step Christ-centered recovery program. And in this space, this is really where the mirror is put up to us with all the love and grace. But looking at the depths of ourself is where the healing and change really happens.
Wow. It just wow. I really applaud you on so many accomplishments that you have made. One, just sticking with recovery, know that that is a step, and not, I mean, unfortunately, not everybody fully recovers when they go into recovery programs, right? The percentage is actually, unfortunately, a lot smaller than we'd like to see it. And so I just give you many, many applause that you have been a success statistic with that. And two, that you are just pouring out so much of your heart and passion to others and helping them. Sounds like helping them. This is the vehicle that is helping them to change, like you said, the mindset. And when you're saying all of that, the Bible does talk about so much about our minds and renewing being transformed by the renewing of our minds, and daily renewing our minds. And so when you read those scriptures, there's so much on there about renewing your mind, about changing your mind, changing your mindset to set your things on the things above and not the things here, and to be present in today and not worry about yesterday or tomorrow. It's so interesting to me, that that now I don't know, I guess the secular world has caught on to the mindset thing and has taken it to different ways of achieving it. But yet, this was something that was set from the very beginning when God created the world, that He knew we were going to struggle with our mindset.
Yeah.
So I love that you are out there really helping others put that into practicality. Because would you say that, reading it in the Bible and saying, okay, yeah, I need to change my mind. Yes, I need to renew it. But then sometimes um, people can feel like, okay, but how do I do that? Would you
Mhm.
say that? Yeah.
Yes.
So then,
And that's funny that you say that, because part of my journey was also in 2019 hiring a mindset coach. And it was so profound as he was teaching me things. And I was actively in recover at this time. But I started putting together what he was teaching about the mindset and the science part of it exactly to scripture. And I just thought, but you're right. Like, what is renewing the mind? And how do I even begin doing that? Because so often, and we find this with these women, is that, and it was true in my case also, I didn't know some of the things that I believed weren't true. So we grow up environments and often take on belief systems of people that actually mean well and love us, but are they true? So getting back to really who you are, who you were created, who you are, what is your identity? But that identity has to come from Christ, and that was huge for me, understanding what he was saying. And you said something very profound that I love, and I love sharing that. It is a daily decision. It's a daily decision. And I still actively work out my recovery, and also serve on the ministry at my church, and love supporting women through it. But it's not that I've got it together. It's that I still continue every day to make the decision to walk out my recovery in this life. So it's an ongoing journey.
that's awesome. And what an example you're leading your children and your grandchildren to do this. And you are absolutely a lioness. And I love the name Awaken Your Lioness. Your Lioness. I'm gonna put that on here.
Yeah.
awakenyourlioness.com. So absolutely go to this website and check out Terry and more of her story. So Terry, as you were in the prison ministries, you saw such a need. So as women were coming out of prison, uh, was that the spark that was like, I need to really help these women?
It was being able to spend time with people in the prison that were actually on, we call it pre-release, and some of these women were getting ready to get out, like that, they're preparing. It could be weeks, it could be a couple months, but in that preparation of leaving is where I really heard and could feel their cry for help. In Colorado, and probably nationally, there is a lack of housing when it comes to women. Um, there's more opportunities for men to get out and get into some transitional housing, more so than there is women. So I really, really felt that call. And being out there, being the boots on the ground, and collaborating and meeting other nonprofits out there, this is 100% an area of need, and an area that our community just really must answer the call. I just truly believe, back in biblical days, I just truly believe if Jesus could be walking here on this earth today, he would be in a prison.
Well, he did hang out with those that were struggling, right?
He sure did. So, finding a way to heal within ourselves, and then get out there and help others, pick them up, and help them through. And you said it exactly. Not everybody makes it through. But that is a decision, because I
Yeah,
truly
that
believe we can all make it through.
absolutely. Our mind is so strong. And I think our enemy knows, and that's why he messes with our minds first,
Yeah.
and in any warfare, uh, and even in sports, that your opponent always goes for your mind first, right? I was watching that movie about Venus and Serena Williams, and I think
Mm-hmm.
the movie is called King Richard. And and in that match of Venus, when she gets back in at 14, playing a professional tournament, and she's about to win, and her opponent does a basically trying to mess with her mind and calls pretty much a timeout and goes to the bathroom for a really length of time to stir her up. And so I'm watching this like, wow, that is so true, that our opponent knows how much, if they can get into our heads and really mess up our mindset, then they have us and they already have the victory. So
Yeah.
Terry, I love that you are out there and just giving this message out there and helping ladies. We've got a Facebook user, not sure who this is, but says, I will play this back. This aligns with my jail ministry here in Prescott. Oh, this must be
Mm,
Diane Blake. I would
yeah.
love to connect with you, and I'm in another meeting right now. So absolutely, I will make sure I connect you with my friend. I'm guessing it is Diane that just made that comment, and she has a great she leads a great prison ministry here too. So
Absolutely.
and I really love your passion of really wanting to dive in, and yes, she says yes, it's Diane. So awesome. Thanks, Diane. Make sure you guys connect for sure.
Hi, Diane.
I absolutely love that you have really made it a mission to go in and see the lioness in each lady, and
Yes.
see that potential, and see uh, the woman that God sees, not the outside stuff that's happening, but the woman that God sees, and that you're helping to pull that woman out and get her revealed. Love that, Terry. And we absolutely need more boots on the ground helping you. So if people would like to donate to this nonprofit, do they go to awakenyourlioness.com,
Yes.
or how do they? Okay.
They do.
And
They can
then,
go to awakenyourlioness.com.
okay,
And,
great.
and I also have, if anybody wants to connect with me, I do have a digital business card, and it's Terry, TERRY, biz card.com. And you can actually just set up a time to chat with me. But you can get all of our social media accounts, and the website is on there as well.
Great. I went ahead and put it into the comment section, terrybizcard.com. And then I'm going to go ahead and have it scroll through the bottom here so that people can see as
Awesome.
well. terrybizcard.com. Absolutely get a hold of Terry and have some deep conversations with her. Terry, how do you raise funds? Is it strictly just donations, or do you do fundraisers? How do you raise
So
funds
we
for
have
this?
done, up to this point, it's been fundraising. And then, I many years ago joined a skincare. I was a skincare associate for a company, and all of my profits continue to go into that. So fundraising and that, and right now we are just now starting to go to state and local officials and ask for funding, kind of align with the initiatives, the reentry initiatives, and really get some help. And then just collaborating with other nonprofits in the way that we can support each other. So yeah, that's kind of, we're getting ready to, we are now positioned in a place that we are doing a telethon coming up in March, where we're going to be asking for 20 or 200, either $10 to $20 ongoing donors that just, $10, $20 a month, but just on a recurring basis.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you let us know in our group page and all that, and share when that's
Yeah,
happening, so that you can get the support that you need for that,
I sure will.
because ministry takes money.
Yes.
I know we just live in a world where, it just does. And, but where God leads, he absolutely provides. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that that is happening for you. So tell us too, how has all of this affected your family life? Like, um, sometimes when we are pouring ourselves out on a mission and in ministry, I know that sometimes it can be very challenging balancing out the home life, and especially being a single mom. How did you do that? Because there may be others that are sitting there like, okay, this sounds great. I feel really inspired by Terry, but I've got
Yeah.
a family that I got to take care of, and this sounds like there's a lot of time that you have to put into. So how do I manage, my family life and ministry to this degree? So please let us know
Well,
how you.
for me, when we did go through our divorce, their dad was always present in their life, and really was. There were a lot of happy moments throughout our 26 years of being together. But so my youngest was 18 when we were going through our divorce. So and my other three were out of the house. So they were older. So that really wasn't an issue, too much of an issue. And now I'm still single. So it's I kind of am blessed to be able to have the time to do this. But I do still work full time as a registered nurse. So it does take planning. It takes planning. And, I've had to really learn, and this was another part of my recovery, is that I had to learn how to set boundaries and really schedule things that were important to me. And I am very focused and passionate about helping these women. So everything that I do, revolves around that. And if it's not something that I can have the capacity or the width to do, I've learned to say no to things. So no is a complete answer. And sometimes you can't do everything and do everything for everyone. So this is where I'm focused and moving towards. So my boundaries have become very clear when it comes to that. However, I do take Sundays to spend completely with my children. And I am very good and I've learned to be very good at putting some self-care in there. And that is getting out in nature and doing things for myself, things that I love to do. And I love going for walks, being outside, being by any body of water. So I've learned doing ministry and especially serving the sick in the hospital, that you've got to find an outlet to fill your own cup. Because if you're not filling your cup, then you're pouring out from an empty one, and it can be a way of burnout very quickly. So I've had to experiment with what that looks like in my own life and where I am comfortable with and where I find peace. But the other thing is I've really learned to listen to how I'm feeling. And if I'm feeling anxious or feeling some type of way, I think so many times we underestimate our emotions and we think that we don't listen to them. So getting better at listening when this doesn't feel good and I'm getting in my head a little bit, then maybe I've taken on a little bit too much. So really paying attention to what my body is saying, what my spirit is saying. And I tell you, I'm so fulfilled and content and passionate when I'm serving these women and serving on these various ministries. So
Awesome. Uh, as you were saying that, as I was thinking, Jesus said that the two greatest commandments was to love God first, and then to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so here's the thing that I think some people miss is that to love your neighbor as you love yourself, that means you have to also learn to love yourself.
yeah,
And in this world, there's a balance, because sometimes you can love yourself so much that it's selfish and you're not giving to anybody else other than yourself, right? So God knows the
right.
heart. So we get to check a
Yeah,
heart, because some people give, but it's not necessarily for others' benefit. Some people give because it's their own benefit. But
yeah,
really, to truly give the way that you're giving, I'm glad that you mentioned that you had, making sure that you take care of yourself, because I think, and especially for a lot of women, because we are very nurturing by nature,
mm-hmm.
that we tend to take care of everybody else, but then we put ourselves on the back burner, thinking if we take care of ourselves, then we're considered selfish. Like there's that image, there's right, what
Yeah,
people perceive. And I am so glad that you are laying it out how important it truly is to have that self-care and to refuel yourself. So tell us a little bit more. I want to hear a little more. How do you refill yourself? I know you said you take walks and you do those things, but also there's an element in there too that I think, and you've already talked about it some, but I'd like for you to expand about it on it a little more. But it's belonging and being part of a tribe, being part of a group, being part of fellowship.
Yes. So I want to go back to something real quick before I answered that. When you said, really being the example, I think is so profound as women, because when we can, I think sometimes you're right, as a nurturer, and we believe what culture tells us, that we're being selfish and that it should be about our kids and it should be about our spouse. And women tend to go care for everybody else but themselves. So I think for me, it was receiving the love of Jesus first and knowing that it's okay to love myself and it's actually something that I should do. But when you said that scripture, love ourselves the way, love others the way we love ourselves, we so selfishly can get into a gray area of loving ourselves overly. So that is how, when we know that, that is how he wants us to love others, is to love ourselves just as much as we would love ourselves. But I think as women, when we can get to that point, we actually give permission for other women to do the same. And when we're an example, it frees them up to say, oh, and they can go out and find their own calling and be able to be passionate about it. And I'm sorry, what your question was again?
Oh, that part of the refilling,
Yeah.
refueling and refilling, is, being with a tribe, being with a
Yes.
group, being with people, not that you're not on your own. So I'd love to hear more about that, because I do think that that's an aspect that's important, because sometimes when we do awaken the queen or the lioness or that strong woman, sometimes we think we don't need anybody else.
Yeah.
But the truth is,
We do. And you hit it on the head. And that is one reason why I continue to serve on the recovery ministry, because that keeps me humble. It reminds me of what I have been brought through. So keeping myself humble and being able to see that other people are going through the same thing. But we are created by design to be in community and be around others, and lift each other up. Iron sharpens iron. So I love the women that I have been surrounded by through my church and through the recover community and the God Behind Bars community. I could not have made it through so many things in my life without that tribe. Quite clearly, I felt like when I was going through my separation and divorce, everything that I had known had been pulled away from me. And I just remember this profound moment saying, I've lost me, just habit of being a victim. This has happened to me. I've lost everything. And you've taken everything away, just really battling with God. And I just remember this profound moment, him saying, Terry, I've removed some of these things from your life, but look at the people that I brought in. And I found so much gratitude in that moment that going through some really hard times during that time, there was never a time I didn't have somebody that I could reach out to. And it was just such a blessing for me. And when you're talking about in the nonprofit sector, I have collaborated and been able to talk with so many amazing other nonprofits that are doing things on other levels. But the way that God just communicates and sets you up with people that are doing different things that can help you in this part, so that we can just focus on the housing and on the recover part and the things that we're helping them with. But we can get people to come in and help with financial literacy. We can get people to come in and help with resume writing and applying for jobs, and getting people to an exercise facility because they offer that to imprisoned women that are coming out. So it's just so amazing how he's just set it up so that we are to be resourceful and use one another. We don't have to do things alone. And I truly believe that when we get into the heart and have the heart that we can do it alone, then we think that God can only use us. I think we're missing it, because God is inviting us in, but he can bring anybody in. So just being grateful that I'm even a part of this and that this is my life and that I get to go help other people.
Mm. I just love all that you are sharing, Terry. What an amazing, amazing woman you are. And I can see the joy absolutely on your face and all around you. And so one of these days, I'd love to meet you in person. That would be
Yeah.
so much fun to do so. I just, I love these kinds of ministries because you're right in that Jesus always loved those who were struggling. That's who he came for, right?
Yeah.
He said that he came for the lost. He didn't come for those that were, already had it together.
Yeah.
And and not only that, but I think of like the stories when you're talking about being in prison and how God can use you even there. I think about the story of Joseph when he was, sold into slavery by his own family, his own siblings, and then he ends up in jail for something he didn't even do. Like he wasn't even guilty of the crime that he was, sentenced for, and yet
Mhm.
in that time, and God left him there for a time. Like it wasn't immediate that he was taken out of there, but there was a purpose for all of that. And even in prison, he was ministering to the people around him. And it's beautiful, that God sends people like you into the prisons to minister to people and meet them right where they're at without judgment. Because
Yeah.
that's the hard thing, right, Terry? I mean, you've been there.
Yeah.
It's hard to, and I'm so glad that you are so open and vulnerable and telling your story that I was in jail,
Mhm.
and because that isn't something that you had to share, but
Mm-mm.
yet your vulnerability and to share it, I think adds so much more to the testimony of who you were and who you've become and who you are becoming, and
Yeah.
being able to reach those women, being vulnerable and letting them know I've been where you're at says
Yep.
so much. So just to say that, God absolutely uses all situations,
Mhm.
as the scripture says, that he brings all situations for good to
Mhm.
those who are called
Yeah.
according to his purpose. To where it
Yep.
almost seems like it wasn't an accident. Like, all the decisions that we made and even the wrong moves and the wrong decisions, somehow he makes it into something so beautiful, gives you beauty for the ashes that you've had in your life. Tell
Yes.
us, Terry, what that has really meant and how has that impacted your children and your grandchildren? Because now that you're a grandmother and you've got
Mhm.
grandchildren, you had a praying grandmother. Now that you're a grandmother, what is it like? And where are you at with all of that?
Oh, you just said God turns everything for good. And he absolutely did that in my life. I was so desperate and hungry for change. And I just think at those weakest moments is when God is the strongest in our lives. And I wanted change so bad. I think when we become so desperate, that is the greatest place to be. It might be the most painful and you can't even see yourself out, but I just believe and it was in my own life. That was the greatest place for me to be. It was when I went inward and I relied completely on him. But I allowed him to do the work through me. And that was taking on forgiveness, learning what forgiveness was and how I navigated that and how I turned from this victim mindset to really being able to say, this did not happen to me, but this really actually happened for me. And being able to trust that he knew everything. He knew that what was going to happen to Terry in 2019 and the journey that she's been on was no surprise to him. But just embracing that everything, even the bad moments, are happening for us. And there's a greater purpose and a bigger story that he's telling. And it's always, I think, like going back to us thinking that it's about us, right? There's such a bigger story that that you're ministering to others by your walk. And when it comes to my children and my family, he has restored every relationship in my life. I had caused a lot of pain and strained a lot of relationships throughout decades of my life. And to be able to go through recovery and make amends with those relationships freed not only them, but it freed me. And that was true freedom. But, you know, it spoke to my children in their own way, and they all have their own walk with the Lord. And that was a true gift for me. Because I was this legalistic mom that tried to say this with scripture, and I wasn't walking the walk for a long time. So I think I deterred my children for a lot of years. And then when I stopped talking and I went through this really painful season of my life, I became a doer. And they watched me where I turned, and it was my faith. And I started to be the example of walking out what it is to be a Christian and what it means to be a believer, and actually lean on the truth of his word and believe his promises. And as they saw those come through, and it's inspired my entire family. And to see that they have their own walk and their own journey with their creator is just a dream come true. And I'm so grateful for that. So I just get the chills even talking about it. And to see my grandchildren just loving, even just starting a relationship now at a younger age, you know, our greatest thing that we can do is lead our children to the Lord. And, you know, no matter where they go in life or what things come up on their own path, they will always come back. And that's amazing.
That is amazing. And wow, what a testimony you have. And so keep speaking it, keep getting it out there to as many people as possible. Do you have a book? Are you in the process of writing a book or anything?
You know, I've had several people say that. Terry, you need to just write a book. And, you know, it's been something that I've been playing with actually recently in the last few weeks. And just, so not yet. But
Well, I
believe there's a book in me.
There is a book in you. There absolutely is probably more than one book in you, for sure. And it's one of those leap of faiths again, and getting out of your comfort zone, which you've been doing. So I don't see this as a hindrance whatsoever. And the beauty is that there's a lot of resources out there to help you get that book out, to get that message out. Because this message and this testimony, we live in a world where we have social media, and we have information at our fingertips so quickly, right? And books are great because people still love to read books because it's information, and getting your message out to the masses, I think is very important, because we don't live in a place anymore where it's just our little world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can go outside of the walls of Westminster, Colorado.
Yes.
You don't, just because you grew up there and you've only stayed there doesn't mean your message only has to stay there. It can absolutely reach globally and inspire others. And why not? You know, and I think sometimes we get kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't do that because I can't do that because then it seems like it's all about me. I'm wanting attention, and I'm wanting to do this, and I just want to give you some encouragement right here, live stream.
You just spoke into me, Zena.
But I just feel like you know, I just need to share that I struggled with some of that too, and that, gosh, I'm just, you know, I don't want to make it about myself. I don't want to do live streaming. I don't want to be posting content on social media, because what will my friends think? What will my church think? What will my family think? They're going to be like, my gosh, she's all about herself. You know, look at her. She's just constantly posting and being live. And who is she to think that she can have a podcast show, and, you know, that people can see? But the reality is that God placed that desire in my heart many, many months ago. I guess almost over a year ago now, maybe even 2 years. And I fought it because, and I made all these excuses. Well, I'm not techie. I'm not this. I'm not that. And yet finally he was like, do you realize it's not even about you?
I've
That,
been there, Zena. I've been there.
and I'm like,
I've
what?
heard that. I'm like, I'm making it about me, and it's not, it's not my power, it's your power. And so, yeah, I've been there.
Exactly. And exactly. And so I just want to encourage you that there is absolutely a book in you. And I think your message absolutely needs to get out there because it's just beautiful. It's beautiful that you are reaching and because you can't do it alone. We know this.
No.
So you're able to reach the ladies where you're at, but there's prisons all over. And you need to have, other boots on the ground. You need to have people in place and helping them and encouraging them so that they can go into their prisons and do the same thing. Because what a world changer, because that is true restoration, that is true rehabilitation, right?
Yes.
Because let's face it, most offenders, most people who go to jail and then they come out, again, the stats are alarming. They end up going back in. There's not very many that come out and can stay out in civilization, right? Because they don't know how to transition or they don't have the resource or they don't have somebody like Terry who is going to awaken their lioness and really be able to come out on the other end and say, I am more than enough and I am worthy to be outside of those jail bars. So that's where I'm just saying, I just want to encourage you that I think, you absolutely need to get them. There's a lot of resources out there, and I'm excited. I'm going to say it right now. I'm excited to buy your book. So when it's out, I will be in line to purchase it. So,
oh, you really spoke life into me, Zena. Thank you so much.
oh, that was the Lord for sure.
Yes.
So, and thank you everybody for being here. And if you found this message to really resonate, or you found value in this message, which I don't know how you could not have found value in this message, please share this out. The power of social media to get the message out is so powerful these days. In fact, they say that it's even more so than the national TV channels, out there, that we can have a much bigger reach even just by sharing. And so Terry has an amazing message. She's an amazing woman, and I want others to be able to know who she is and connect with her and help her nonprofit, because it takes money to get the mission, to continue the mission. And so if you are in a place that you can give, like she said, even just $10 or $20 a month, it makes such a difference for sure. It adds up real fast. Terry, this hour goes by so fast. We've got a friend here, Jason Robinson. Thank you for being here. Great job, sister. Oh,
yes. I know Jason. He's he's been a great supporter for us.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you need more Jasons in your life. So
yes, we do.
So this hour goes by so fast, but I want to just ask you, is there anything else you would like to leave us with? Because here you are on American Dream Makers, and I do believe that the American dream belongs to all of us. Yes. And not only can you achieve it, but you can absolutely go beyond it. And Terry, you are living the American dream, and you are absolutely helping others to live that American dream. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with today?
I would just love to say, trust your journey. Everything that you have is within you. And what I have learned in my own journey is that we don't get what God believes about us until we believe it for ourselves. And to just make yourself priority and do the work within yourself. Nothing outside of you is going to help you or bring you fulfillment. Everything that you need and everything you will ever need is in you and in Him. And that's all that I would say. But your past does never define you. It's what we do going forward.
Beautiful. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much for being on here today and sharing your heart and all of your passion. Really appreciate you, and many, many blessings to you and your ministry that God has placed. So
thank you, Zena, for an amazing opportunity.
Oh, you are absolutely welcome. All right, we will say goodbye for now. Thank you again, you guys, for being here on American Dream Makers. And please be sure to like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, Zena Krogadal, American Dream Makers. Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so please absolutely go and share this message because it was very, very powerful for sure. And I look forward to connecting with you all. So please reach out and connect with me if you haven't already. I'd love to hear about your American dream and how you are helping others create that American dream. So I will say goodbye for now, and we will be back with another fantastic guest.